An objection that I hear a fair amount, and this is an objection to non-duality, to relaxing back, to religion. This is a kind of catch-all option for the mind, is if I am the one who's in charge of this, there's no way that circumstances would be set up so that I am suffering this much. And in this objection is the root misunderstanding that is leading to suffering amongst all of humanity. So this is not something that can easily be refuted exactly. And this is also not something that I could simply state and then somebody could understand and move on from. The mind's requirement of having some kind of proof is part of its built-in mechanism to protect itself. The proof is going to be there in a negative sense by experience when we go beyond mind. Until there's a willingness at the soul level to play a different game in life. So until there is a greater desire to seek the truth than to play this game or to win at this game or succeed at it or remain in a supposed comfort of a status quo. So until that decision is made, the mind is going to seek out all that confirms its own constructs. So I won't make an attempt to sway anyone. I'll simply talk about this individual experience, which is confirmed by the experiences of many who have made the choice to go beyond mind. So first of all, this idea that I would not create the universe in this way. How would I? I'm objecting to the universe. There's no way I would create it this way and then object to it. We have to make the distinction here between two, well, we could say an entity and a non-entity, between the created mind and the creator or the observer of the mind. The mind is going to object to, or the ego is going to object to most things. So this idea that I'm living in a world that I have no control over, that I didn't have any part in or consent to, and I'm upset about that, this is the language of the mind. This is how the mind was designed. This is one option of how the mind is designed to function. One possibility. If you've ever experienced an epiphany, you will notice that epiphany happened when there was effortlessness, when you weren't trying. You thought about the problem for hours, and then you went to take a shower, and bing. And what happened? If you go back to that memory, if you're capable and willing to go back to that memory with objectivity, you'll see that there was a eureka moment, followed by a voice then unnecessarily speaking about what that epiphany was. Before the mind started saying, what a good idea I've had, here's how I'll execute it. Before that, it was like almost like a download or just full recognition of the path ahead, the next step. That inspiration, that effortless instant and complete intelligence is a glimmer, a glimpse of you. Everything that is happening after that is the mind, which takes the ultimate intelligence and turns it into nuts and bolts and steps and goals. That's not how awareness works. And you are awareness. You are the consciousness that is witnessing the mind play itself out. So this idea that I take issue with the universe is the mind. When we identify as that mind, so when this voice has become very developed in the experience, so much so that it completely absorbs attention long enough that the soul, or this little package of awareness, has essentially become brainwashed into believing that I am that. There's never been a break between thought long enough to experience the openness, the peace, the silence, the inspiration, the ongoing inspiration and intuition that are not inhibited or veiled by the mind. If in this experience that space has not come up or been given the floor, then of course the only voice that's chattering on is going to seem like you. That voice hates everything. I mean, watch it. Start listening to it very carefully. It's either carrying out tasks or putting out thoughts that are rooted in beliefs that were internalized as children from what others around were saying. And this could be a positive or negative. We could either have taken on what our family was saying or chosen to maybe rebel or oppose that, but either way, this is a simple case of cause and effect. That's how this outside world works. That's how the mind works. This cause and effect, in yogic terms, is being subject to the fluctuations of the elements and the traits and forces of the universe. In yoga, it is the goal to use the body, use the breath, use one single pointed focus, and also a foundation of so-called moral observances, which I think it would be better served considering them to be natural traits that emanate from our effortless state. When we take all these things and put them together, the experience is less subject to the fluctuations of the outer world. You'll start to notice that when everyone around you is grouchy, you're not. Or your body maybe used to really be subject to the phases of the moon, and now people talk about the new moon doing something or other, and you realized you missed it. That didn't happen. In these small ways, and eventually very noticeable ways, the experience of inhabiting a body is less subject to the outer chaos, including the mind. The mind fluctuates less. As we root out sources of delusion, we work through beliefs and release them. There are less thoughts based on those beliefs. You're having something like a raw or an unprogrammed experience. When we get to a point that this experience becomes one of embodied consciousness, consciousness experiencing a body. No longer buying into the idea that it is the body. And ultimately, consciousness isn't buying into it. This little individuation, this package, filtered through mind, is having the experience of being absorbed in the identity, the constructed identity. It's really just a shifting of attention back to that which you are. It's not like the all-knowing behind all of this needs to be convinced of who it is, really. It's enjoying this game. This little package is absorbed in this thing. And with this shift, the experience of suffering ceases. Who you really are has never suffered, but it is experiencing suffering in the relative, and that is completely released only with a shift in identity, a shift in understanding. So this idea that something's really wrong with all of this is simply rooted in the constructs of the mind. No one else on this earth, besides humans, are taking any issue with how things function. And it's clearer than ever that this simple shift, if we were to adopt some practices, the stillness and the equanimity of animals, equanimity might be too strong a word, but that kind of gentle acceptance of what's arising in this present moment. If humans adopted that, everyone would be better off. This is clearer than ever. If problems, if contention with how things are right now exists only in the human mind, it follows that to go beyond mind is the way to address this, not by mind creating solution after solution to self-created, to problems that it is creating. There's this hole, there's this bottomless pit type feeling in most human experiences that are being filled with stuff, and this is the choice that we're collectively making to create this world of consumption, leading to unhappiness, and now requiring people to have their professions dedicated to fixing the excess consumption of these things, and nobody's happier. Mind is not going to fix that. The solution to this problem, and I want to say strongly that in an ultimate sense, nothing is wrong. But in the relative, this so-called problem, this one and only problem of misidentification with the mind, this is fixed by shifting attention beyond that. Nobody's going to convince you of anything. There are no beliefs in non-duality. So what do? You sit there and you watch the mind and you do nothing about it. And the experience is retrained in this way of non-reactivity, not assuming anything, letting go of emotional reaction to things. And we do that by just letting the emotions come up and come through. We stop fueling them. We realize we are not the emotions. We are not the things that happen to us. We are not the one that the things are happening to. We are experiencing it happening to the human. And slowly, the investment in this body above all other things begins to be seen also as part of that illusion. What does that mean? It means I am equally invested, or we could say equally non-invested, in all of this. I no longer need to be completely absorbed in a self-obsessed narrative about keeping the body safe or popular or acceptable or successful. That can be a game that I play intentionally, but there's no attachment to it. It all becomes play, and really this is all intended to be play. Even in the making of this video, there is something of a contradiction, because ultimately it doesn't matter who watches this, who likes it, who awakens. There is no bunch of humans to awaken. There's an experience being had which could shift, but does not need to. Who I am is not affected by any of this. And I'm not speaking for myself separate from you. You are me. We are one. And who I am is not affected by any of this, and is at peace, is that peace itself, and is just being overlooked.